All right. The next video is going to be on the self-image, and the self-image is basically the mental version of you. So it is I guess you call like the cornerstone of who you are. It's the source of the version of who you are now. If the action of what you do is the would be like the shadow, and the thing casting the shadow would be the self-image. So if you change the self-image, you change the shadow. It's really just that simple. But a lot of people don't know how to access the self image or what the self image is, or that the self image is even in control of all those things. But the self image is basically like the mental version of you. So in order to access it, it's really easy. You can, for example, if you're not as successful as you like to be, imagine yourself being that successful and see if your thoughts say bullshit. If your thoughts say bullshit, you know what you think about yourself. So it's really easy. You just imagine seeing yourself in a certain situation and just see how you feel about it, and then you kind of get that image of yourself, and it's really clear to understand what you are currently, where your self image is at currently, because you can just look at your surroundings. Your self image is the it's like the conductor, it's the maestro, and everything around it must be in harmony with it. So whatever tune it's in, everything else is going to be in that tune. So it's you can look at those things and see what your self image is too. It's just that you can't really trust those things out there because they're temporal. The thing on the inside, the self image itself, the essence of the self image, what creates the self image is eternal. So you can change that thing. That essence is eternal, but you can change what it assumes itself, what shape it assumes itself to be, and that'll change the harmony. Just like if you change the note on the piano, the key, on the piano, the song has a different vibe or a different feeling to it, you know. So it's really just that simple. And in order to change the self image is really simple. Kind of like the chemical version of you, the mental version of you is the same thing. All those things are derived from that self image. So in order it's like it's the reason that you have to eat from the tree of knowledge of good and evil, so that you can actually see who you are, see what's actually there, and when you see it, just don't cover it up. Don't put fig leaves on it. Once you see it and can identify it, just take notice of it. It's not for you to get a revelation and then all of a sudden be the perfection of that the next day, or to attempt to be the perfection of that the next day. Just the exact same way as you notice, like you might feel pain, that might be the wake up call, and then you see the gash or the wound, and then you might try to medicate that. That's like that. Well, you could think of anything, I guess, as the medication, but maybe you want to medicate that thing, and then it heals. It heals on its own. You know what I'm saying? Like the things inside the body itself comes and heals the wound on its own. And we get the revelation of our nakedness, and then we try to cover it up as if, since we've seen it and we know what it is now, we're perfect the very next day, or whatever. We keep that. That's the hypocrisy. We're acting as if, when the truth is, you were that way before you noticed it. So why act any differently now? Start to observe the thing. And once you observe it enough, you'll see how it is or isn't beneficial to you, and you can simply change it. That's one way to change your self image. But the other way is to literally just see yourself as being another person, and experience that on a chemical level, to the point where you change your mind. To the point where you convince your mind that the thing has actually happened. You do it enough times, and you actually become that person on a microscopic, neurological level first. That's the small thing that you have to be faithful over. When Jesus says you have to be faithful over the small in order to be ruler over the large things. That's the macro and the micro. You have to create the you that you want to be on a microscopic level first, on an intangible level first. And then this movable stuff will then change and fall in line with it. But you have to be faithful over the little things first. Most people, since the environment doesn't match up with who they want to be, they can't be faithful over the little things. If you just think about it, if you I'm trying to think of an example of that. Oh, okay. So if for example, one of my excuses, there's so much I want to do with money, but I don't do it with the little money that I have. So why would I do it with the big money that I have? If I'm not doing it on a small scale, how am I developing the skills and the habits and the patterns and the thoughts? How am I encountering the problems and then creating the solutions that will help me in the big picture? If I'm not doing that on a small level. So if I'm not faithful, if I don't see the big with the little, how will I be able to handle the big when it falls upon me? Because then it'll be calamity. It'll be something that I'm not ready for, as opposed to something as opposed to something that I am on the inside, even though my outside circumstances don't look like it. Then that thing will be harmony. It'll be harmony for me, as opposed to it being something that comes in and just ruins the song. It's just overpowering or whatever. Messing up the song. So in order to change that mental image, you first have to know what the self image is and how to access it. You access it through the mental part. It's the mental version of you. So you access it mentally. You can literally sit there and just look at a mental version of yourself standing there and see how you see yourself. When you look at your face, are you attracted? Then you know what you feel like about that thing. When you look at yourself, do you feel like, man, that person is valuable, that person is worthy, that person is not a sinner, that person is perfection, that person is godly, that person is God, that person is holy? Do you see that when you look at that person, or do you see all the shit they need to change? As most people do, they look at it and they see all the shit that they need to change, and that's what they cast upon that person, and that person is them. You know what I'm saying? That's the person you're supposed to love unconditionally. That's the person that you're supposed to treat with adoration. That's the person that you're supposed to shower with blessings and shower with compliments. That's the person that you're supposed to uplift and magnify, and that will emanate from within. It's crazy. So that's yeah, the this was all about the self image, this specific video, and we'll talk way, way, way more about how to manifest things from the self image, how to change the self image. It's all the exact same message pretty much. The chemical you, the self image, all those things. But yeah, it's on the mental plane. So you can, it's going to be kind of it might be foreign kind of to do what I was just talking about with the mental version of you, looking at the mental version of you and seeing how you say or feel about certain things. But when you do it, it's crazy. And when you look at yourself, like when you have a mental version of you just sitting there ready for your observation, like as if like Jesus when he was being judged by the Sanhedrin, just not speaking a word, just taking whatever you got to say for it. But when you look at that thing and you give it worship, and you say, wow, you are a magnificent being, regardless of all the bullshit, regardless of all the things that might be on top blocking those things, you're actually pure perfection, godliness. Like if you start to look at those things, the first smile that comes on your face from the mental creation that you just did, you should be addicted to that feeling. Like that feeling, you'll realize when you do it, that feeling of, wow, I made an internal smile. I created some type of like joy and happiness from my belly with no outside circumstances or stimulus to do it. When you get that feeling, that's the exact feeling that most people who do drugs chase, or have sex a lot. That's what they chase when they, or want to get a lot of money and or buy cars and do all those things. That feeling that they're chasing is usually that feeling there. That's the feeling of desire fulfilled. That's the fruit of the tree of life. That's the juice running down your arm while you bite into that fruit. That's the thing that everybody's chasing. Because everything that they chase outside things to create an internal environment. That's what they're doing. So you can just create the internal environment, and then you realize that, oh, I don't need any of these things, and then it breaks the addiction. Okay, that's it for that video. I don't know what I'm going to talk about in the next one, but there will be a next one. I appreciate you guys' attention. That's what the next video is going to be about, attention. All right, stay tuned.